So I know how much you guys like to see, me do something with my hands. So as a demo, I could use that. Would you get that over here for me? Yeah, thanks. So pineapple, we grow some pineapple here. It's good climate for growing pineapple in Hawaii. And we're very blessed because we can actually get pineapple that look like this. They're like all the way 100% golden. In the mainland, the produce buyers over there see this and they scoff at it and they reject it and they send it back and it gets thrown away in the trash because this is overripe. It's not good. It doesn't have proper shelf life. And so I know some of the big chain stores in the mainland have heard all these stories from our pineapple guys here that they reject them all the time because it's too much color. They need it to sit in a truck for 2 weeks on the way to New York and then be able to sit on the shelf for 2 weeks and still not go bad. So a good ripe pineapple, we're very fortunate. When you have a good ripe pineapple, you can do something with it. You can eat it the way that it was maybe intended to be eaten. A real pineapple will have a let's say more of the wild pineapple. It's going to have a seed. This is where the seed of the pineapple is underneath each one of these carpels. Each one of these segments contains one seed, and it makes each one of these segments is a triangular candy corn, if you will, that goes down into the core of the fruit. And so if you just wiggle these little segments, they kind of operate independent of one another, and you can get them out. And usually once you get one out, then it all starts getting easier. Nice and sweet, low acid, the way a ripe pineapple should be. And so this is like I like to eat the pineapple at the beach or in the park, where you don't have to take a knife with you, and you can make a mess, Oh no, you don't need no knife, no. So you start pulling these pieces apart, and they come out down to the core. And if anybody has a plate or a bowl, you can put some pieces in. Into the juice. But basically what you start getting as you start going is these little chunks of pineapple, and they actually have sides. Yeah. So you can proceed along getting these pieces out. And eventually you get yourself a nice little bowl going, and you can, work on the juice. But it's got to be a nice ripe pineapple. And here we go. We start getting the nice long pieces that go all the way down to the core. So it's a bite-sized piece, and then every one that you eat, then you're gonna discard that other piece, and that's gonna be a seed that you could plant. And the ideal conditions with a viable pineapple that could actually grow. These are pretty hybridized, so the seeds aren't as viable. You see, the segments all coming out nice. And then when you get down to the end, you have the core, and then you got something to chew on to remember the flavor for later. And but pineapples do grow well here. We've kind of built our reputation, if you will. Pineapple and sugarcane are the big guys here, and they're fun to grow. Of course, you can plant a pineapple top. That'll take about 2 years to make fruit. And after you get your pineapple top, or once you have your pineapple top growing, then it'll start kicking off pineapple slips. And so if you have your pineapple top right here, when it's growing on the plant, underneath here, right? The pineapple's coming out. You'll have these pieces that come off of here are these slips. Those are going to make fruit a lot faster, like 18 months. And then you're going to have, again, here's your plant, right? And on the bottom of the plant is going to be suckers that come close to the ground. And so those are the more preferred method for propagating your pineapple. Even though that the actual propagules are a lot smaller, the pieces are a lot smaller, they're going to produce a fruit a lot faster than a big top. And with pineapple, an interesting thing is you can get pineapple to be, 10, 12 pounds if the plant weighs 10 to 12 pounds. And in the commercial pineapple business, what they do, you see how these just come out so nice. What growers will do is go through and when they're ready, based on what the customers order, they want like 3-pound pineapple, 2-pound pineapple, 5-pound pineapple. Not too many people, there's not so much demand for the 10-pound pineapple. It can be done. But it's just, most consumers, it's a little bit much, So sometimes you see like, backyard organic guys like really juicing up their pineapple really good, and they get some nice fat pineapple, 12, 13, 15-pound specimens. And I say go for it, might as well if you're going to, have a good pineapple, So what they do is in the commercial industry, they force them to flower. And so they decide when they're going to force them to flower based on the weight of the plant. Because whatever the plant weighs, it's all green, there's no fruit, they got a whole field of it, and it's all planted at the same time, and so because they all got the same water and same fertilizer, it's very consistent. So they can pull one of those out and hang it on the scale, and they say, that weighs 4.5 pounds. That plant at 4.5 pounds before it flowers will make a 4.5 pound pineapple, approximately. And so that's how they gauge it. They go, okay, we need to go ahead and gas this field, and they go through their big sprayer and spray an ethylene, which is a ripening hormone. It induces it to flower, and they're allowed to do that for organic. It's naturally, like if you want to do it at home, you can take an apple or a banana and stick it in the crown of your pineapple while it's growing. Like you're chomping at the bit. You want to get some fruit. It's like, gosh, I've been waiting, Like you take a ripe avocado, an apple, and you just leave it just stick it right in there, and that will emit its own ethylene, as all fruit does. Ethylene is a ripening agent. Or a decomposing agent, because everything eventually decomposes, and ethylene is kind of like a hormone that helps that to happen. It makes it ripe. It converts the starches into sugars. But it can also induce the flowering, and so you can put that piece of ethylene producing fruit there, and that will stimulate it, and it will kick out its flower. But that's time consuming or whatever, so they get some synthetic ethylene, and they mix it in a sprayer and spray it. So the whole field all flower at the same time. And that's why pineapple's so cheap. If you wait for everything to be natural, you're like, running out there like, okay, get my 3 pineapples for my field, and then you go back like next month and get your next 3 pineapples, because they're going to be ripening at different times. So that allows them to go through and get all the pineapples at the same time. And then what they'll do, which they're not allowed to do in organic production, but they can in the conventional production, is to ripen it with ethylene. It's a second application, and you have all your green pineapple in your field all sizing up the way they should be, and it should be pretty much identical if everything is getting the same amount of nutrients. They'll spray them again with ethylene, and then you get, it's like spray paint almost, like a few weeks later, then everything just turns that breaking color, and then they're ready to harvest. So they can be more efficient with their harvest, so you can go to Costco and buy cheap pineapple. And that's, how, is because they're allowed to use those, ripening agents to help that along. With the organic guys, you have to go back and harvest their field 3 times. They can, they'll allow them to use it to force the flowering, but then after that, they want to ripen naturally to get the organic certification. So yeah, there's some things about pineapple that I've learned along the way. We grow a lot of low-acid pineapple here, so I think it's some of the best pineapple I've ever had.
What pineapple you've grown in your land?
pineapple that I've grown in my land. I have a few white pineapple, the Sugarloaf variety, and then some of these. And my land is actually really good for growing pineapple. And it used to grow a lot of pineapple, but I've been busy growing some other things first. My first couple plantings of pineapple, I guess I was just feeding the deer. So they just came in and they really like that tender growing point right there. It doesn't matter if they poke their nose, and they just get it right there, and then it's kind of done. So, but I'm optimistic for the future. I know Jerry Ross, he was inspiring. He's here this evening, but he had some amazing white pineapple growing at his place, and definitely. And my neighbor, Cocoa Farms, they just put a whole bunch of nice pineapples in. So I'm getting inspired. Get some more pineapple going, for sure. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, what do they make the ethylene from?
The ethylene is the stuff they use is synthetically made. I'm not sure what it's synthesized from.
Repeat the question.
The question was, where do they get the ethylene from that you get in 55-gallon drums or quart bottles or however they sell it, and it is synthetic, but it can be natural. Because like bananas, peaches, nectarines, plums, anything that mangoes, anything that quote unquote ripens after it's picked, will have ethylene. Apples do have ethylene. Apples do have ethylene, even though they don't really ripen after they're picked, but they do continue to produce that, and that's still like the decomposing agent. Because in proximity to your green lettuce or your green cabbage or celery, it's going to go yellow really fast. And they learned this a long time ago, and that's why we don't ship ethylene-sensitive items like vegetables and broccoli and cabbages in the same container in a boat for 10 days with something like apples or peaches, or honeydew melons, because those fruits are going to off-gas, produce more of that ethylene, and it's going to make the cabbage turn yellow. So the military learned that a long time ago, sending stuff across the ocean. Because tomatoes, of course, are ethylene producing, and that's why the vast majority of tomatoes grown in America are still picked green. It's just the way that it is. That way you can fill like giant trucks, 10 feet deep with tomatoes, and guys can just throw them in there and conveyor belts, and they're green. They can handle that, and then they get all sorted out and whatever, survive the rough handling. Can be sat in boxes and then wait for the sales guy to sell it, and then they gas it, and it all turns perfectly ripe right at the same time. And that's how we get most of our tomatoes. There is a lot more tomatoes that are picked vine ripe, and you can tell when it has the calyx on the tomato, the green calyx, and you can tell the freshness of that calyx. That would be a sign that it was vine ripe, and as opposed to the calyx has been removed, then you would be like a little bit more concerned that it's potentially not picked ripe.
Have ethylene coming off of it?
I think the strawberry is just gonna like rot upon that spot pretty quick and go off. But I would say like an avocado would probably be pretty good. Like, because I know you grow avocados, and you could get one of those to go, and it would be like, when it's ripe,
So
the same thing goes for bananas. Bananas also work, but an apple I've read works well because they continue putting it off, and they're usually not gonna like just turn into a puddle up in your crown.
And will the flower push out beyond outside the apple?
Yeah, I've seen people do like hang something, like make some little contraption to hang the apple so that it can be in there. And you can also purchase Ethogen or Etheryl, and do like that too. They sell that at or Crop Protection Services specifically for inducing flowering pineapple. But I will set this back on the table if anybody wants to break off some chunks of pineapple and
Give it up to
take some-
Ryan.